Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel Knowledge Adda powered by Vision EDUCARE classes. Myself Anjali ma'am, and in today's video we are going to solve the IGCSE Feb March 2022 MCQ paper code 22 for chemistry subject 0. Before we start with solving the paper, I want to quickly introduce myself. As I am a teacher and an educator for more than 7 years, being catering to almost all the boards, teaching biology and chemistry. Our classes, it also caters to all the board, and we have provided one of the best results, and also our students are happy. They enjoy the concept, the faculty, the environment here. We believe in holistic approach of education. So that is all about us. So without any further ado, let's jump and start solving the chemistry MCQ paper. So hello everyone, let's start solving our paper. So this is the chemistry paper. We can see here, this is multiple choice question, the MCQ paper for extended. The code is 22, it's Feb March paper. The time allocated students to you all is 45 minutes. So you have to remember this, that you have to solve each question. For each question, you have been allocated with 1 minute. Not denying the fact that you'll be left with 5 minutes extra, because it's 1 minute into 40 questions, that equal to 40 minutes. Now that 5 minutes which will be left, that you can use for your correction, that you can go and cross check, etc. Now there might be few questions which will be hard, and there'll be few questions which will be easy. So you have to have that practice to designate 30 seconds for the easy one, and 2 minutes would suffice for the hard question. Okay, so let's proceed. I'm just going to erase this annotation, and then we'll be proceeding with the solving part. So yeah, so I'm going to just in this video we'll be solving the first 20 questions from our paper, and in the next part of the video we'll be solving the other remaining 20 questions. So let's proceed to our very first question, students. Here you can see, here we have a very first question. Let me just reduce thickness. I don't like much thickness. Okay. So the first question says that which gas has the fastest rate of diffusion? Now diffusion is a simple process where the materials, where the particles, they move from a gradient of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. Okay, don't get confused with osmosis and diffusion. Diffusion is just the movement of particle from higher to the lower concentration, whereas osmosis, there is also movement of water molecule across the gradient from higher concentration to lower concentration, but there is a presence of semi-permeable membrane. Okay, so the question says that which gas has the fastest rate of diffusion? Now this concept requires you all to understand the concept of atomic mass. Relative atomic mass will also suffice, or the MR, which means a molecular mass. Now if I want to calculate for carbon dioxide, it would be 44. For methane, it would be 12 plus 4, which equals to 16. That's the atomic mass for carbon and for hydrogen. For sulfur, it would be 32 plus 32, which will be equal to 64. And for hydrogen, it's 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Now, the fastest rate of diffusion will only take place where the density of the substance is very low, and that would allow the movement of the particle faster. So that depends the one of the particular substance which has the lowest atomic mass, or MR, and that goes to hydrogen, as hydrogen has the minimum MR, therefore. So this is our first answer. Second, let's move to the second question. Here we have second question talks about in which state, solid, liquid or gaseous, does 1 decimeter cube of methane contains the most particles. Now methane is a substance which is a hydrocarbon, the smallest hydrocarbon, and which state does it contains the most particles. Now methane in nature exists in gaseous state. Now for the most particle to accommodate in 1 decimeter cube, okay, you require the particle to be very close to each other, and that state where the particles are very nearby to each other and they have the strong intermolecular force of attraction with themselves is nothing but, yes, it's solid state. The liquid has the medium space between the particle, and the gases has the most space between them. The intermolecular space between the particle is the most. Therefore, at which state does 1 decimeter cube of methane contain the most particle? The answer is D, in the solid state. Let's move to the third question. The third question states, which statement explains why isotopes have the same element, of the same element have the same chemical property? Now, if you all don't know what is isotopes, isotopes are the atoms of the same element have the same proton number, or we also call this as atomic number, and different atomic mass. The mass is different. For example, here we can have carbon has two isotopes, carbon 12 and carbon 14. Okay, oxygen has two isotopes, oxygen 16 and oxygen 18. Okay, so the question is that explain which isotopes of the element have the same chemical property. Now, for example, talking about the chemical property. Okay, chemical property, which means how they're going to behave from the electron point of view. For example, electronic structure, if I take, okay, if I talk about carbon per se, in the outermost shell, there are going to be 4 electrons. It's going to behave like non-metal for carbon 12. For carbon 14 also, it will have the same in the outermost shell, it's going to be 4 electrons and it's going to form a covalent bond. For oxygen, it has 6 electrons in the outermost shell in either of the isotopes. Okay, so it's going to behave like a non-metal, and hence the correct answer is option A. They have the same electronic structure, as the question is asking about chemical property. Moving to the fourth question, students. Fourth question says that the electronic structure of P atom is given, and for Q it is given. Okay. Now, P and Q forms an ionic compound. Ionic compound is basically formed with the help of ionic bond. And what is an ionic bond? Where there is give and take of electrons, cations and anions. Okay. Now, definitely for an ionic compound to take place, one has to be a cation, the another has to be an anion. So, what is the formula of the compound? We have to find out here. Okay, so for that we need to understand the valency of P and the valency for Q. Now, in the outermost shell for P, there are electrons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the capacity of the L shell is 8. So, there are 2 electrons which are lacking. Coming to the Q, in the third shell, which is M shell, it has supposed to be 8 electrons, it has only 1. Okay. So, the valency for Q becomes 1, and that for P, it becomes 2. The electrons present in the outermost shell are valence electron, and the combining capacity of it is valency. Now, with the help of valency, I will crisscross it, and I will get the formula P1Q2.
So what will be we are going to ignore what as a coefficient in the valency. So we get the formula as PQ2. Which options is correct for this? And yes, students, it's the option D. Isn't the paper going very easy till now? Okay. Now let's come to the fifth question. The fifth question is from fermentation. The question says that fermentation of sugar is nothing but glucose. Oh, sorry, it is sucrose. Okay, we are fermenting the sugar, produce a mixture of ethanol solution and solid yeast. Now here comes the tricky thing. Again, in the question they have asked, how is the solid yeast removed from the mixture? It's a separation technique. Okay, if I have to separate a solid substance which is insoluble, it is not getting mixed, from a solution, okay, I'm not going to use crystallization. It is not evaporation, no distillation, because there is no talking, there is no point of talking about boiling point. Fractional distillation, the boiling point between the mixture is not less than 20. Definitely, if I have to remove a solid yeast, the option is filtration. Isn't the paper easy? Yeah. Let's move to the sixth question. Which row explains why copper is a good conductor of electricity at room temperature? Now we know copper is a metal, and definitely that is one of the physical properties of metal, that metal conduct electricity. They are good conductors of electricity. Okay, so copper in nature exists in solid state as a metal. So they are asking which row out of these four explains why it is a good conductor. So copper ions move freely. No. Whenever it's in the aqueous state, okay, when it is dissolved in water in a solution form, copper ions can move freely. But in a solid state, just copper, to be a good conductor of electricity, it is not required. Okay, electrons move freely. Yes, for a good conductor of electricity, element should have mobile electrons in a conductor. So this is a conductor, only a particular element. If we can say it is a good conductor of electricity, there should be presence of free electrons. And if there is a presence of free electrons, mobile electrons, then only when it is connected to a circuit, these electrons, they move in a specific direction. That is how the electrical energy is generated. So, copper ions move freely? No, it is not required. Electrons should move freely? Yes. Presence of mobile electrons. Therefore, the option here is B. Let's move to the seventh question. Seventh question states that which pair of statement about diamond and graphite is correct? So it's from the carbon chapter. Diamond and graphite are one of the giant macromolecules. They have a very great lattice structure, very big lattice structure. Okay, and they are the two allotropes of carbon. They are allotropes of carbon. They follow the property of allotropy, okay, where they have the same physical property because they are both made up of carbon, but they have the different chemical property because of the arrangement of carbon atom into their lattice structure, into their giant structure. So here we have the tetrahedral three-dimensional structure. Here we have the hexagonal planar structure. Okay, this is how a graphite can be used. It is a good conductor of electricity. It is used to make the electrodes, which we study the most in electrolysis. Whereas diamond is one of the natural hardest substance. It doesn't. Okay. So the statement, we have to find out which one is correct. Diamond and graphite are both pure carbon and they are both macromolecule. Yeah, that is correct. Diamond and graphite can both be used as electrodes. No, diamond cannot be. It is not a good conductor of electricity. There is no presence of free electron. Whereas in graphite, there is the two layers of graphene. One layer of graphite is called as graphene. Okay, and they both are joined together by a van der Waals force. Okay, so this force is very weak force, and this force can easily break down when it comes in contact with heat or anything, and therefore that gives the property to graphite to be a good conductor of electricity. Okay, so graphite is also used as a lubricant. Yes, graphite is used as a lubricant, but diamond cannot be used as an electrode because it is not a good conductor of electricity. Diamond has covalent bond, graphite has ionic. No. Graphite also forms covalent bond because it is bonding with carbon. Diamond is hard with high melting point. Yes. Graphite is soft. Yes. But do it has low melting point? No. So our first option is correct. The statement, the pair where both the options are correct. Moving to the next question. Sodium nitride contains the nitride ion. The valency is given N3. Sodium nitride is unstable and decomposes into elements. So definitely it's a decomposition reaction where there is one reactant and two substances, two products are formed. Okay, AB is breaking down into A. That is a general chemical equation. So what is the equation for the decomposition of sodium nitride? Now for here, we have to first understand what will be the compound formula for sodium nitride. So here we have sodium nitride. Here the valency is given, it's 3. For sodium, the valency is 1 because atomic number is 2, 8, 1. So valency is 1, it's selected. Crisscross, the formula we get is Na3N. Okay, we got the formula. Now we have to understand which out of the 4 chemical equation is correct. Okay. So the formula is this. So this option we don't have, this option we don't have. So we are left with B and D. Okay. But students, please focus. The second compound, the second product which we are getting is a nitrogen gas. And nitrogen in nature exists in diatomic state. Two atoms of nitrogen are together. For example, like oxygen, for example, like chlorine, for example, like fluorine, bromine, etc. So the last one is also not a correct option. Okay, it is not something that you have to sit, you have to give 2 minutes to solve all the equation to balance it. No, sometimes you have to just use basic tricks while you are solving your MCQ paper. Okay, so the correct option for us is B. If you have doubts, then you can check it. Okay, sodium here is 3 N for balancing, and this is correct. Let's move to the next question. I hope till here we are going great. We are going lovely. To the ninth question, here we come a bit to the mole concept, students. Here we have to find out the percentage by mass of carbon, of hydrogen, and of oxygen, and we have to find out an empirical formula, which is the ratio of the molecular formula. Okay, so compound X, there is some compound random X, and the carbon present in S is 26.7%. Hydrogen is 2.2%, oxygen 100 minus this. So we have to do 100 minus carbon plus hydrogen, and you will get somewhere around 71.1%. Okay, 71.1% it will get. Now here we got the percentage. How we will calculate the empirical formula? It's very easy. Carbon, you have to take at the above. What is the percentage given? The mass is given. Okay, 26.7. You have to divide it by its atomic mass, which is 12. And you get the answer 2.2. We will approximate it and we'll take it as 2. For hydrogen, it's 2.2, but the atomic mass is 1, so we will get 2.2 and we will approximate it to 2. If it was 2.7, you have to take it 3. For oxygen, it's 71.1. Again, I don't know why I'm writing 7. Upon 16, that's the atomic mass for oxygen. And we get the answer as 4.4. We will approximate to 4. So carbon in the X compound is 2. That of hydrogen is also 2. That of oxygen, it is 4. So we get C2H2O4. But this is the molecular formula, students. It's not an empirical formula. For an empirical formula, you have to take the ratio, you have to divide it by 2. So carbon, instead of 1, 2, it will be 1. Hydrogen will also be 1. And oxygen, out of 4, it's going to be 2. So out of which 4 options we get the answer? It is D. Correct. Let's move to the 10th question. I hope the sum was easy. Such kind of questions are always asked in MCQ. It is not asked in theory. The energy change is asked, breaking the bond and forming the bond, kilojoule mole. That question is asked in your theory paper. Mole questions are asked in your theory paper. It's not asked ATP much. Okay, so theory and MCQ has a lot of mole based question. You have to calculate mole, volume, concentration, etc. Coming to the next question. Cesium fluoride is an ionic compound. Okay, yeah. Which statement about cesium fluoride is correct? It's an ionic compound. It conducts electricity when solid? No. It can only conduct electricity when it's in the aqueous state. Then only the ions can break when they dissolve in water, or in the molten state. This is not an option. Ionic compounds do have high melting point. Yes, they do. It is highly volatile? No. It's not a phenol. It is not an aromatic compound. We don't have this, but then it is not. So this is also not an option. It is soluble in water? Yes. Ionic compounds, they form aqueous solution. Therefore, they are soluble in water. And therefore, the two, second and the third is the correct option. So for 10th, we have the answer here, which is C. So I hope till here we are going great. Let's move to the next question. For this, I have to just reduce and zoom it out so that you can see the all the four options. I hope it is visible. So which diagram shows the direction of movement of ions and electrons during the electrolysis of molten sodium chloride, NaCl? So they've asked movement of ions and electrons. Okay. So now please pay attention, students. The compound is NaCl. It's a molten form. There is no water into it. Sodium we will get and chlorine we will get. Sodium will move to cathode. Okay. It's a cation. And your chlorine will move to anode. Okay. Now for this we have to basically understand that when the ion moves, the sodium moves towards the cathode. Now let's find out which one is showing the correct one. The cathode, yeah, sodium is going correct, chlorine is going correct. This can be an option. Here also the cathode is this, sodium is moving perfect, chlorine is moving perfect. Yes, this is also correct. Now we have to find out the movement of electrons. For this, you have to understand the basics from the physics. Okay, electrons, they move from the negative terminal to the positive terminal. Okay, so for this, you for negative terminal, always remember cathode is a negative electrode. Always remember this. And anode is a positive electrode. Okay. So let's see out of these two, which one is correct. Electrons are moving from anode and cathode. Yes, this is correct. So for us, the option is A. So let's start with the 12th question. The 12th question says calcium carbonate reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to produce carbon dioxide gas. And the equation for the reaction is shown here. The relative formula mass of calcium carbonate is given to us students. It is 100. So the molecular mass for calcium carbonate is 100. The mass is given 10. Let's find out the mole. 10 upon 100. Mole is very simple. Mass upon mR, we get 0.1 mole. Now if you will see, we have to find out the mass of carbon dioxide. Now, if you will see in the chemical equation, that is very important as they have given the chemical equation, calcium carbonate and carbon dioxide are in the same ratio. That is 1:1. So always remember in the mole concept, if the ratio is the same, the mole also remains the same, which is 0.1, so 0.1. So the mole for carbon dioxide is also 0.1. The mass we know, which is the mR we know for that is carbon has 12 the atomic mass, and that of oxygen is 16. 16 plus 16, 32. 32 plus 12 is 44. So mass we can simply find out. Mass is equal to mole into mR, which is 0.1 into 44. We will get the answer as C. Let's move to the 13th question here. Molten sodium chloride and concentrated molten sodium, it's an ionic compound and concentrated aqueous solution, so NaCl. in the molten form will give me just sodium and chlorine. So here we have sodium. For negative electrode, which we have to find out, it is for cathode. Okay, cathode always get the cation. When it's in the aqueous state, water is also present. So NaOH plus hydrogen gas is liberated on cathode, and chlorine gas is liberated on anode in an electrolyte, and sodium hydroxide is formed. So here we get hydrogen on the cathode, and the option is C. Moving forward to the next question, an object to be electroplated with silver using an aqueous silver salt as an electrolyte. So in the electrolytic solution we have, which is silver salt, and we have an object, any metal, it can be zinc, it can be iron, it can be any metal, it can be copper. We have to electroplate it with silver. Now always remember the object which we need to be electroplated, any desired metal, is always which will always come on cathode, and the other electrode, as we want the silver to be electroplated, so it will come silver. If we had gold, then the salt which is there should be of gold, and then we have gold on the other electrode. Okay, so cathode, the object to be electroplated, so it is cathode and silver, so the object D is correct. Let's move to the next question. 15, it is endothermic reaction. In endothermic reaction, the heat is absorbed from the surrounding. It is taken in. It is like example from liquid state to solid state, forming water, forming ice from water. And always the temperature decreases. Whereas in exothermic reaction, the heat is liberated. It is given outside to the environment, to the surrounding. So here we can take the example melting of ice, solid to liquid, and always the temperature will definitely increase. So which row states heat energy given out? No. No. Energy taken in? Yes, it can be. Energy is taken in. The temperature decreases, increases. And here we have the option C, the temperature decreases when an endothermic reaction takes place. Which statement about the fuel is correct? Heat energy is only produced by burning fuel? No. Not always by combustion, the heat energy is completely liberated. Methane is a good fuel, yes, because it's produced only water when burned. No. Whenever any hydrocarbon burns in the presence of air, it undergo combustion. It always form along with water, carbon dioxide gas plus heat and light energy. But these are not the products; they are form of energy. Carbon dioxide is also a product. Therefore, that is not an option. This is also not an option. Uranium is burned. Uranium is a radioactive element. You can't burn it. In the nuclear power plant, you have it in the control form where the uranium 235 is bombarded by the neutrons, and then it forms barium. So you don't use uranium directly. So the correct option is B for 16. Which statement about endothermic and exothermic reaction is correct? Endothermic reaction, less energy is absorbed. No. More energy is absorbed in the bond breaking than it is released in the bond. More energy is required. This is not. In endothermic, the activation energy is always higher. No, it's a vice versa. You require for exothermic, not for endothermic. In exothermic reaction, more energy is absorbed in bond breaking than it is released. No. In exothermic reaction, the reactants are higher on energy level. Yes, the reactants are always higher because it is bond breaking which is taking place. There is no bond formation. The temperature will increase, and therefore the reactants are always high in the energy. 18th question. It's a reversible reaction. Nitrogen is reacting with hydrogen, it is forming ammonia, but it is also a reversible reaction. The moment ammonia is formed, it also breaks down to form nitrogen and hydrogen. So the question state, which statement describes properly the equilibrium, when they will attain the equilibrium? Equilibrium is only attained where the rate of the reaction for the forward, that is for the forward reaction, and for the backward reaction is the same. So out of this, the rate, both the forward reaction and backward reaction have the same rate? Yes. The rate of backward is greater than forward? No. The rate of forward is greater than backward? No. Forward and backward reaction have stopped? No. It's a reversible reaction, it will keep on continuing. Therefore, the option A is correct. Let's move to the 19th question. How does increasing the concentration affect the reacting particle? Okay, always remember, concentration of a substance is directly proportional to its collision rate. Colliding of the particles, basically, they gain more kinetic energy due to which. whereas it has no impact on the proportion of the activation energy. For example, if I have HCl, if I'm preparing dilute, I will have more water. If I'm preparing, let's take 100 grams. Okay, I will have 90 grams of approximately water and some 10 grams of HCl. That's it. For concentrated, it will be vice versa. I'll be having just 10 grams of H2O water and just 90 grams. So the concentration definitely increases the collision rate between the particles because the particles of hydrochloric acid have increased. Whereas its activation energy for the reaction to take place, it will have no impact. Okay, they are not. It is not anywhere connected to it. Therefore, the option A for this particular question is correct. Now, methyl orange is added to dilute hydrochloric acid HCl and NaOH. Pretty much it's a neutralization reaction. Acid is reacting with base to form salt and water. So one is going to be an acid and one is going to be a base. Now, methyl orange is an artificial indicator which is used here. So the question is saying, what is the color of methyl orange in each solution? Methyl orange in acid gives red color and in base it gives yellow color. So the option color in the dilute hydrochloric acid is going to be red, in base it's going to be yellow, and option B is correct. So with this we have completed with the first part of our MCQ paper for Feb March 2022. We'll be meeting in the another video where we'll be completing the remaining 20 questions from this paper. Till then, take care, enjoy learning, enjoy solving your paper. And as your boards are coming nearby, for the Indian students who have Feb March attempt, all the very best. Prepare hard. Okay? Thank you. Thank you so much.